everybody, and welcome to the Lex Talks Stuff podcast, where I just talk about whatever I want. But today, I have decided to talk about Superman, the Man of Steel, the Man of Tomorrow, the last son of Krypton, the guy that my girlfriend has a crush on, and so on and so forth. But so, today, I'm having the show be a little more focused. I thought, meandering on just different topics all the time might get a little boring here and there. So for now, I decided to try out something, and I hope you guys enjoyed the last episode I had with my buddy Jack on, where we talked about the MCU. So please let me know if you want me to do more with more people or, more with just me. I'm fine with like more people because I love having everybody on here. You know, I just love, I just want to have like a panel one day where we just have so many people all in one podcast that it's almost incomprehensible. But so for today, a topic that I wanted to cover, so I will be covering a list that I have found on the website MovieWeb, where it talks about Superman stories that the movies should cover. More accurately, it's 20 Superman storylines James Gunn film could adapt, and maybe in some cases should. I'm excited for that movie. I think he did such a great job with the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. I also loved his Suicide Squad movie, and I also really dug Peacemaker. So I'm confident in James Gunn to see what kind of like ideas he brings to the table of Superman. We're seeing a lot of leak set photos, and I'm just kind of tired of seeing them now. Now I'm just like, no, I want to be surprised for the movie. But we have no control over that. I don't get the people that like just want everything spoiled before the movie comes out. I heard someone say, well, that's because I want to know exactly what I'm getting into before I see a movie. I'm just like, well, what about just wait and see what happens? Like that used to be a thing. But so, back to the topic at hand. James Gunn recently announced, well, this was March of 2023, recently announced a ton of new projects for his new DCU. The most exciting of these is his definitively new take on Superman that he himself is writing and directing. It turns out it has been his passion project for decades. Now that he has the chance to bring his love of Superman to the big screen in a new way, we've already seen movies like Superman, Superman Returns, and Man of Steel. There are television shows like Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, Superman the Animated Series, Smallville, Supergirl, and Superman and Lois. All these shows and movies have interesting plot lines that the new movie could draw from. Not only that, but there are the video games and comics that have stories that Gunn could take from. What video games? Superman's never had a good video game in his entire existence. I could point to like 8 Batman games that are awesome, but yeah. Anyway, there are decades of stories out there, new villains for him to face, new challenges, and new versions of the character himself that could light up the big screen and change Hollywood forever. Here are some of the best Superman storylines that could be excellent films. I feel like this is already like out of order because it starts with number 20, All-Star Superman. I love All-Star Superman. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. But I also think to a degree that they shouldn't just do like an All-Star Superman movie because that's the end of Superman. Like if Superman had to have an end, what would it look like? And it's like this. And for people listening that have never read All-Star Superman, please, I beg of you, it's like a Tales of Hercules-esque story mixed in with some crazy sci-fi fantasy, and also at the same time it humanizes Superman as well as shows his feats and strengths, but also shows some of his limitations, and that like he can save as many people as humanly possible, but he can't save everyone. I was reading a Superman comic called Superman Up in the Sky by Tom King. My buddy Richie is probably gonna hate that I brought him up. But I said that I really loved his Up in the Sky storyline because it just shows Superman's like indomitable spirit and like the amount of hope that he brings and optimism, and that's one of his greatest strengths and what makes him such a great hero, and also that he's slightly human just like us. We don't have the same powers as him, but Superman is the epitome of like what humanity could be, and that's what makes All-Star Superman great. So it would be interesting. I think they're going to take some parts of All-Star Superman for the next movie. Like, I'm just not entirely sure what. I'm curious where it's going to go. Brainiac. I think it would be really cool if they finally brought Brainiac to live action.
You see, we have more in common than you can possibly know, Kal-El.
How do you know my name? Have you been to Krypton?
I am Krypton.
I've been begging for it for years. I was kind of hoping James Gunn would do Brainiac for like his first Superman movie. Like it says here, while he's often depicted as a member of a completely different alien race, some of the best depictions of Brainiac involve him being an Ultron-style artificial intelligence developed on Krypton that may or may not have caused the planet's destruction. Regardless of his origin, he is an intergalactic despot who travels the galaxy, collecting rare species in entire cities, while obliterating everything else in his path. He's the perfect movie villain, especially for a new franchise looking to set itself apart. Yes, I absolutely agree. And this is just 19. Warworld. I think a Warworld movie would be cool, but not for like a first movie. I would wait a couple of movies and then do like Warworld, because like I also think that like maybe we should get a few years into like the next decade before doing Mongol, because people are just going to say, "Oh, well, Mongol, who's this yellow Thanos? Like, who is this yellow Thanos guy?" And I'm just like, I mean, they were created by the same person, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's like a ripoff. Today, the most famous comic book villain is without a doubt, Thanos from Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. So introducing the movie-going public to the Superman franchise, very own Thanos is a no-brainer. Yeah, sure, but like I would give it like more time. It says like this. The war world is a society revolves around constant battles and other cultures, the gladiator-style showdowns within its own world. Yeah, like Gladiator, but with like Superman, or even like Thor Ragnarok, minus like the comedy would be really cool.
That's what. Because that's what heroes do.
So yeah, I'd be cool with that. Old Friends with Lex Luthor. This one I have mixed feelings on, because I mean, I've seen good stories where Superman and Lex Luthor have known each other since they were kids, but Lex has never picked up on the fact that Clark is Superman. Like, I think, like, there are times where it's kind of interesting because Lex is so arrogant that he thinks, like, someone so pathetic and weak, quote unquote, from Clark is, like, it would be impossible. How could this buffoon beat me? Or maybe he's in denial. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I would want to see that. I mean, I already think their relationship is pretty interesting enough as it is. Like, I always love the angle of Lex Luthor hates Superman because Superman is everything that he could not be. Powerful, like helpful, like beloved by all. And Lex hates that because he's always driven by ego. And mean, I don't know. If done well, could be interesting. Legacy. Oh yeah, the Superman the Animated Series episode. That was insane. Like, I Superman the Animated Series to me is like the definitive Superman. You know, that and when they do Justice League, like it's just amazing. And I think it would be cool because they had a story like this in comics called Superman the Dark Side, where Superman was captured by Darkseid and brainwashed into thinking he was like a son of Apocalypse, and he conquers worlds for Darkseid and is like, well, this is my dad, and yeah, like I think it could be cool for like a later down the line story, or maybe even like a plot line in one of the Justice League movies that they're gonna do. Like, I don't know. I mean, it could be cool. Let's see. For the Man Who Has Everything. This story is amazing, and this list is talking about the Justice League episode, which is one of the few things that Alan Moore likes adapted of his work. He loves two things. He loves a Saturday morning cartoon style Watchmen TV intro that a YouTuber made.
Strong together, united forever, they're the best of friends. But when trouble's about, you'd best watch out for the Watchmen.
And then this episode of Justice League Unlimited. And I was just like, well, I mean, I'm glad that you love the Justice League episode. I guess it goes to show you, this show is so good, even Alan Moore likes it. With For the Man Who Has Everything, it's Superman's birthday, and Mongol gives him an alien creature, puts Superman into a fantasy where he was able to raise a family on Krypton. Once his beautiful illusion was destroyed, he lays quite a bit of pain on Mongol for the birthday present. The only issue here is that everyone knows how Alan Moore feels about film adaptations of his work. If James Gunn adapted the story, there's little doubt that it will open us all up to another round of Alan Moore to everyone who would listen to how much he hates the comic book industry now. I have my thoughts on why Alan Moore hates the comic book industry, but I'm not going to get into that now. Kingdom Come. How has Kingdom Come not become an animated movie yet? Like, I think of everything, I'm just like, what? like this story is so good. Like, I mean, as much as I want to see like a live action one, I want to see animated first. Just get like most of the cast of Justice League Unlimited in there. Well, obviously you can't do Kevin Conroy, but maybe you could do Bruce Greenwood, have George Newbern be Superman, Susan Eisenberg is Wonder Woman, hire like a prominent older actor to play Norman McKay, who's the POV character of all of this madness. And like, I definitely think Kingdom Come is already having a heavy inspiration on James Gunn's Superman from like the photos that we've seen of the costume. And typically I wouldn't like seeing the Superman look like that, the Kingdom Come one, because I think it works for that story and that universe. But there's something about it that I think kind of works on the screen. I was like, huh, this kind of works. I think mostly the texture. But if you've never read Kingdom Come, you gotta check it out. I'm not gonna elevator pitch it to you. The Red Sun. Everyone has been wanting this movie forever. Matthew Vaughn came out recently and said, "Hey, I'd like to do a Superman movie with Henry Cavill do the Red Sun storyline." Why does that sound like Alan Moore? I actually don't know what Matthew Vaughn sounds like. I know he's British, but yeah. If you don't know, like Superman Red Sun is where he falls into the Soviet Union as a baby in the rocket sent from Krypton, and he becomes Russia's greatest hero. And what's funny is he actually, like, I kind of like that version because, like, even though Superman is working for like Stalin, like he's like helping people and being a good person, and so it's like, are you sure you should be working for Russia? And he actually like wants to try to help and make things better, and I highly recommend it. The Wedding. Oh, The Wedding I never read, but I think it would be really sweet to see like Superman and Lois like officially be married in live action, aside from the Superman and Lois TV show, which is amazing. I haven't seen season 3 yet. I got to meet Tyler Hoechlin a while ago, and he was a really cool dude. And like, I wish his show would go on a little longer, but maybe it's for the best that season 4 is the last. Because if it goes on too long, then it might get bad. Flash, Arrow, Supergirl. But so, yeah, the marriage, that'd be fun. To me, in the movies, they've never quite gotten Lois Lane quite right. I think Margot Kidder was really good, and I also think that Elizabeth Tulloch is a really great Lois Lane. Like, that's my favorite interpretation in live action of their relationship. And, like, Lois is one of the best characters in Superman and in DC, in my opinion. And I don't think they ever quite got her right. They just think of her as just Superman's girlfriend and don't think of her as any more. I'm not saying she needs to like fight Darkseid or whatever, but like give her some more character. Superboy, John Kent. I don't know if we're going to get this quite so soon in James Gunn's DCU. We already got Jonathan Kent in the Superman and Lois show, along with Jordan, who they created for the show. But with Jonathan Kent, like, I love Peter J. Tomasi's Superman. Like, it's really good, and I highly recommend it. And I love Jonathan Kent in that, and I love the Super Sons with him and Damian. But if we're getting an older Batman and Damian's already around and Superman doesn't have a kid, then how are we going to explain like John Kent? So by the time like Damian's an adult, John will be born, and so you can't do the Super Sons. So like it's a little sad, but what are you gonna do? Clark Kent Hunted. I don't think I quite know this story. Perhaps the funniest possible take on the Superman movie wouldn't focus on Superman at all, but rather on Clark Kent. While everyone on Earth thinks that Clark Kent is a bumbling, clumsy reporter from Kansas, no one knows that he's actually the most powerful man on Earth. A story in which a villain takes aim at Clark Kent instead of Superman would be a hilarious comedy of errors where the villain is constantly baffled by his inability to dispose of the seemingly idiotic reporter. Oh, like that scene in A Fish Called Wanda, where that guy with the stutter like constantly crushes the dogs. Oh my god, that movie's messed up. There's a more dramatic interpretation of the story as well. If Clark seems to be eliminated in an explosion of some kind, it would effectively terminate Superman's alter ego, since there's no way the human reporter could survive such an event. Superman would have to face a world where he was robbed of his normal life. Yeah, I mean, could be interesting. I also think we need more Clark Kent stuff, like some investigative journaling, like the extended version of Batman versus Superman. I have my thoughts on that movie, but I don't want to get into it here, and I did like that aspect. Lex Luthor, Man of Steel. Yes! This would be cool. Like where he like takes over as Superman because he thinks that he could be a better Superman, but actually like means it and is actually trying to do good while also being Lex Luthor about certain things. Absolutely. I think that would be awesome. Like I I would love to see Nicholas Hoult in that Man of Steel Superman suit. I'm very excited to see what Nicholas Hoult does with the Lex Luthor character. Like, he's just so fascinating and one of my favorite villains of all time. Lex Luthor is up there with like Doctor Doom and Joker and Magneto and Reverse Flash. Like, he's just so good. 8 other Supermen. Well, it's actually the number 8 and other Supermen. That's what it's called. While everyone has assumed that Clark Kent version of Superman would be the one that James Gunn adapts, there are several versions of Superman who aren't Clark Kent at all. In fact, not too long ago, there was a rumor Michael B. Jordan might actually be in the running to play a new Superman. There were multiple rumors in which alternate Superman he would embody. Yeah, I remember. I think that movie's still in development. I mean, I would like it if they did like Calvin Ellis, which is Obama, if he was Superman, and I think that would be really cool. Like, I think that would be dope. Yeah, I mean, with that, like, I know they want to do like a Black Superman movie, and I'm not against that. You know, I think it would be cool if you just had like the right story and the right take, and like it could be good, hopefully. But J.J. Abrams is behind directing it, and I don't have that much faith in him. Not since Rise of Skywalker. Bizarro, yes. I think bringing Bizarro to the movies would finally, like, would be excellent. Like, I think he's such a great villain, and I love how he was done in Superman the Animated Series, where he was almost like an autistic child that didn't know what was going on, and he was like scared and confused, and like and yet you kind of like loved him a bit. Like, I think that version was great. You could either do like he's from Bizarro world, or he was a genetic clone. Like, you can do either or both. Who knows? Like, he could start out as like a genetic clone, and then Superman's like, well, you need to put him somewhere where he can't hurt anybody, and then like puts him on a distant planet like they did in the animated series. But yeah, I love Bizarro. He's so cool.
Me hold, you go. Me know I'm Superman. You am Superman. Superman, save Lois.
Metallo. Metallo is also another one that I want to see in live action. He is so, like, he's so interesting in the introspect that it's like, what if the Terminator had kryptonite and tried to fight Superman? Like, that's what I think. It's just like, what says it? Just like Brainiac, it's shocking that Metallo has never been featured in a Superman movie. He is typically featured as one of the first major villains that Superman has to prove himself against. He starts as a normal man, John Corbin, who was then made into a cyborg that's powered by kryptonite. This makes him basically the Superman version of the Terminator. Exactly! Like, Elevator pitched that, and yeah, he would be like one of the perfect like boss fights for Superman to fight. Villain team-ups. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, the problem with a lot of Superman movies is they don't look at Superman's rogues. They just either go Lex Luthor or General Zod. And as much as I love those characters, I want to see other people. And, like, like the ones that they list here, like, series of B-listers, as it's called here in the article, like Toyman, Silver Banshee, Titano, Ultra Humanite, Volcana, The Atomic Skull, Morgan Edge, and Bruno Mannheim, and just know, Mr. Mixie Spitlick, they'll be far too strange for a movie. What? No, I want Mr. Mixie Spitlick for a movie. Like, a movie where Superman fights Q from Star Trek.
I'll have 10 chocolate sundaes.
10?
I've never seen anyone eat 10 chocolate sundaes. I'm in a really bad mood.
Like, that's basically what the movie would be when he's fighting Mixie Spitlick. I think that would be one hell of a movie, and just cast like a very wacky, like, comedian to play him. It would be super cool. Number 4, must there be a Superman? I'm guessing this is like, should there be one, like, to like save humanity, as like the movie poses a question like that. There's a common complaint against Superman that instead of using his powers to maintain the status quo, he could use his superpowers to change this world. This could make for a great moral argument for a movie to explore. The famous story, Must There Be a Superman by Elliot S. Mangum deals with this problem directly. I haven't read that. It shows the Guardians of Oa from Green Lantern put Superman on trial. They accuse him of holding back humanity's development through his superhero deeds. This could make an excellent framing device for a unique origin story. An intergalactic trial could make the retelling of Superman's origin play out like The Social Network. That's one way to go. And it would also be a great way for Superman to fully define why he's Earth's greatest hero and not its greatest hindrance. Yeah, I also think that people that are like, why doesn't Superman just like fix everything? Because he wants people to figure things out for themselves. Like, he'll help, but he's not the one that's like, oh, I'm gonna solve all your problems. That's not why Superman's here. He helps out. He doesn't solve all your problems. Number 3, saving real people. Yeah, I think that would be cool. It'd be cool to just see him like save like people that do day-to-day things, and he like showing like how much he cares in that. Like, nobody is too big or too small for Superman to help. Like he cares about life and helping everyone in life, and like that's what makes him Superman. Like, he values all life and will do anything possible to help, save anybody that needs it. Even if it's Lex Luthor, he'll do it. I still got to read that Superman Last Days of Lex Luthor by Mark Waid and Brian Hitch. I've heard that's really good. Superman versus Shazam. I don't know if I quite want that. Like, maybe like a first encounter where they fight would be kind of interesting. Like, I don't want to see like another like a Batman versus Superman situation, but with Superman and Shazam. I would be cool with Superman versus Black Adam. That'd be fun, but no, I don't want this. This is one thing on this list that I absolutely do not want. Number 1, Superman versus the Elite. Yeah, I think that would be great to see in live action. Like, and I think we might get something like that, because the Authority also got announced. So maybe it might be Superman versus the Authority, because the Elite are basically like bad guys that believe that the world is too broken and that they need to be just as bad as everyone else in order to save it. And Superman says that no, there's a better way. We don't need to be as bad as everyone else. We need to be better. And Manchester Black, who is the leader of it, who has psychic abilities and telepathy, is, he absolutely thinks there is no saving humanity, and the only way to do it is to kill all the bad people and make all the good people fear him. And and that's exactly the opposite of what Superman wants to do. And one of my favorite issues of Superman of all time, Action Comics 775, What's So Funny About Truth, Justice, and the American Way, which is written by Joe Kelly. I think it would be super cool to do something like that in live action. They made an animated movie, and that was really, really cool. I believe that was also written by Joe Kelly. Yeah, I'm curious about this. Did Joe Kelly write Superman vs. Yeah, he did write the movie. Oh my god. Good on him. Like, he deserves it. Alright, so yeah, one of the coolest Superman stories out there. What's So Funny About Truth, Justice, the American Way? Like, I love it. It's amazing, and everyone, I think, should read it and check it out when they think, do we need Superman in this day and age? Like, is Superman too lighthearted and optimistic for today's cynical world? And I think Superman vs. the Elite answers it. Watch the movie, read the comic, What's So Funny About Truth, Justice, and the American Way. Like, it's worth it. So, I think today was good. Oh, I think it wasn't as short as I thought it was going to be. Apparently, I had a lot to say. So, next week, I am going to have my buddy Richie come on here, and we will talk about the show Justice League Unlimited and how it influenced our love of DC and where we go from there. So, thank you very much. Y'all have a good day. Have a nice Sunday. Bye-bye.